Hello, everyone, and welcome back to God Sauce Turnbuckle. And it is going to be that time once again to have predictions here on the channel. It is going to be for WWE Money in the Bank. Again, looking like it's going to be a five-match card unless they add something on SmackDown, which, based off of what we've really been seeing recently, I don't think is going to be the case. So we will only have five matches on this one. Even though I am recording this on a Tuesday night, I expect it to kind of stay the same for the Money in the Bank card itself. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here with the first match being the WWE Intercontinental Championship match with Sami Zayn going up against Bron Breakker. Now they have put Bron Breakker in a position where he is going after championships rather quickly. They did this back in NXT as well, and honestly, they put the NXT championship on him within about 3 to 4 months of him arriving on the show itself back in the 2.0 days. Now, it did take a failed opportunity against Tommaso Ciampa the first time before he did eventually beat Ciampa to take the NXT championship. Now, I do feel like that may be the case here as well, especially after what happened on Monday night with, Bron Breakker basically gaining the upper hand and holding the championship up high over Sami Zayn on Monday Night Raw. So I do feel like this is going to be one of those cases where Sami Zayn continually fights back, and barely pulls out the victory in this one. And he will keep the Intercontinental Championship. So I'm going to go with Sami Zayn to pick up that Intercontinental title, or not pick up the Intercontinental Championship, but to keep the Intercontinental Championship and go forward from there. And basically to a point that maybe they do have another match with him and Bron Breakker. Maybe they add some other people into it as well, because we've been seeing that play out with this whole thing with Bron Breakker as well. I'm going to go with Sami Zayn on this one, but I do expect more down the line between the two of them, if not a few more people to go along with that as well. And up next is going to be six-man tag team action. It's going to be Cody Rhodes teaming up with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens going up against the Bloodline. Could be any of the four of them teaming up, but it will be three of them. So it could be either Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, or Jacob Fatu. Now, when it comes to the team, I feel like is going to be representing the Bloodline on this one. I do feel like it's going to be Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa in this one. I don't think they're going to put Jacob Fatu in a match quite yet. That will be somewhere down the line. For that one, they will probably be playing him off as more of an enforcer type, him just starting out on the WWE side of everything. And man, the storyline that they've been going with this, having basically you have Solo Sikoa going after, not necessarily going after Paul Heyman, but like kind of just like breaking Paul Heyman down little by little and telling him that Roman Reigns isn't going to be coming back. They had they had the Ulafala on SmackDown as well, and he was going to name himself the Tribal Chief and wanted Paul Heyman to put that on him as well. Just really great storytelling and great reactions from Paul Heyman as well. And same with Solo Sikoa and everyone else. They eventually take out Paul Heyman. So you're going to play up this aspect that Paul Heyman is no longer the wise man for the Bloodline. Or is he? Because what's going to happen when Roman comes back? That's going to be something for down the line, because we have this match right here. Now, there's rumor going around that they are setting up Solo Sikoa and Cody Rhodes going into SummerSlam. If that's going to be the case, honestly, I'm gonna make the prediction that the Bloodline is going to win here, but we're going to even go one further with this. I feel like Solo Sikoa is going to pin Cody Rhodes in terms of helping solidify Solo even more going into a potential match with him and Cody. And I do feel like they need to kind of do that in this case, because you do need to give a little bit more weight, a little bit more behind Solo Sikoa for him to go after the WWE Championship. And what better way to do that than pin the champion in a 6-man tag. So I'm going to go with the Bloodline picking up the victory on this one. It's going to be very interesting to see where they go with this Bloodline storyline after the fact, going into SummerSlam and going further to go along with that as well. And up next, we have the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. It will be Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green, Naomi, Lyra Valkyria, Io Sky, and Zoe Stark in the match. This is going to probably be a rather fun ladder match between all 6 of these women. And honestly, I do feel like in terms of a winner here, I do see this one coming from the SmackDown side itself. And honestly, I could see any of the 3 of them winning this. I could see Tiffany Stratton winning this. I could see Chelsea Green winning this. I can see Naomi winning this one. I don't feel like this is going to be a match where a Raw person is going to pick up that victory here, because you do have the whole thing with Lyra Valkyria and Damage Control at this point. I do feel like that will kind of cancel each other out, and I don't really see them putting something like Money in the Bank on Zoe Stark, where you do have her with a kind of a storyline going with Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville. So I don't necessarily see them putting the Money in the Bank on either one of those 3. So I'm kind of torn between the aspect behind Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green, and Naomi. Now, for Tiffany Stratton, it kind of you can kind of definitely see that would be the case for that one, because she's trying to be friendly with Nia Jax, who's got a title shot against Bayley at SummerSlam. You have that whole aspect and everything playing into something there, where maybe the cash-in happens at SummerSlam itself after a really good match between Bayley and Nia Jax, where Bayley just barely picks up the victory, but then she cashes in. You could also see that entire aspect behind Chelsea Green as well, and they could play the whole aspect of Chelsea Green's, like she says, like, I'm going to win Money in the Bank, I'm going to win the championship, and then I'm going to bring back the Divas title, which would be a completely heel thing to do. But there's a very intriguing thing, a very intriguing story that I'm not sure if they're going to go this route, but I find it to be the most intriguing. So I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to pick Naomi. And that's mainly on the aspect that they could play this whole thing where ever since Bayley's become a babyface again, Naomi's been the constant. She has been Bayley's friend throughout this entire thing. And Bayley has the WWE Women's Championship. And then they could play that whole aspect between friends. You have one being the champion and one who can turn in a briefcase and win a championship or go after a championship whenever they want. And you can play that entire dynamic in there as well. That's the one that intrigues me the most. I'm not going to say that's probably what's going to end up happening, but it's going to be my pick. It's going to be my pick that's kind of out there on this one. So I'm going to go with Naomi to pick up the women's Money in the Bank contract this year. And up next, it will be the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. It will be Carmelo Hayes going up against Andrade, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, Jey Uso, and Chad Gable. Now, much like with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, I felt like that was going to be somebody from SmackDown picking up that championship. Or not that championship, but that contract. I feel like in this case, it will be somebody from Raw picking up that contract as well on the men's side. Carmelo Hayes, he's done really well for himself since he's come up to the main roster, though I don't necessarily see them putting that contract on him quite yet. Andrade, they really haven't been using Andrade much on the main roster since he's come back at the Royal Rumble, so I don't necessarily see him taking the contract as well in this case. In LA Knight, he's got a thing with Logan Paul going on at this time, and more than likely a match at SummerSlam for that one. So I just don't see them putting that contract on LA Knight and then having him go after the US title down the line to go along with it. So it kind of brings me to the people from Raw. Chad Gable, I could see actually having the Money in the Bank contract, playing off of everything that's been going on with the Wyatts. Though I do feel like the whole thing with him and the Wyatts at this point is kind of going to take him out of the mix. Though it would be an intriguing thing to see him with the Money in the Bank contract, with everything that has been going on, with him, losing all the championship matches, everything going into this, everything with the Wyatt Six. I don't necessarily see him picking up the victory, but it would be an intriguing proposition to see what he would do with the contract. Now with Jey Uso, honestly, he has probably been my favorite for the most part going through this, and honestly, I was probably going to be picking him for the most part going into everything, just based off his popularity, everything that they've been going with Jey Uso. He was the first one to declare for the Money in the Bank, or say that, or declare his intentions. He did qualify in a triple threat match, but he was the first one to kind of declare his intentions going after Money in the Bank. So I could definitely see that being the case, and honestly, it may still end up being what ends out happening. But again, much like with the women's Money in the Bank contract ladder match, the most intriguing story is with Drew in this particular case with that contract. He's declared that he's going to win the contract at Money in the Bank and then cash it in that night. Now, you do have the whole aspect with Jey Uso being potentially dealing with the Wyatts himself. And honestly, he may be going back into the Bloodline storyline down the line to go along with it, though I don't think that's going to happen right away. So they could still put that contract on him. But you have the whole thing with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. And it's going to be one of those things is, does CM Punk show up during the ladder match? Does Drew actually cash in? Does CM Punk get involved in that match when he cashes in to go along with it? There's a lot of intriguing things that I feel like would probably be the most intriguing storyline, especially throughout that particular night. So I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre picking up the Money in the Bank contract. What ends out happening? It ends out happening to go along with it. I'm not going to predict that he cashes in that night, that he's basically made that intention already there. So we'll basically see what ends out happening. But I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre for this one. And up next, it will be for the World Heavyweight Championship. It is going to be Damien Priest going up against Seth Rollins. And honestly, I really can't say that there's been too much really to the story outside the factors of it's not necessarily the story between the two of them. It's kind of the storylines and every little piece going on around the match that has been the main focal point, and probably the most intriguing stuff to go along with that, and also what could end up happening in the match itself. So it's not been like super crazy between Damian Priest and Seth Rollins, but you have this whole aspect of everything going on with the Judgment Day. Seth Rollins making a gentleman's agreement with Damian Priest, saying it's like, well, if I don't win, I won't challenge for the title as long as you're champion. But if Damien loses, he's out of the Judgment Day. And then you have this whole aspect between Finn Balor and Damian Priest, the whole everything going on with Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan, everything just kind of playing into one story. And we'll probably show a little bit more of what's going on in this particular match. I don't necessarily know if there's going to be like a full breakdown of the Judgment Day, or if it's going to be a thing where they just, oust Damian Priest from the Judgment Day itself with everything on this one. Now, based upon what my prediction is going to be, and I'm going to go with Seth Rollins on this, so that will technically mean that Damian Priest is going to be out of the Judgment Day. But it's going to be one of those things, does Finn cost him the match? Does Liv Morgan cost him the match? Does he just lose to Seth Rollins and then he's out, and it's kind of just like a mutual parting of the ways? Or is it going to start a feud between Finn and Damien Priest, everything to go along with that down the line there. That's going to be the intriguing aspect behind this. And then you do play off the whole aspect that Drew McIntyre said he was going to cash in Money in the Bank that night. Now, that could happen in this particular side, and he cashes in on Seth Rollins. Heck, they could have Damien Priest win, and then he's going to cash in against Damien Priest. But that's all going to be determined based upon whether or not Drew McIntyre actually has the contract or not. That was my prediction for the actual men's Money in the Bank. So, I kind of expect something to happen there. But we'll end up seeing what happens with this one, and then if Drew is cashing in Money in the Bank, is CM Punk gonna be there? You have a lot of different things that could be going on with this particular side of everything. So I am going to go with Seth Rollins to win the match. Whether or not he is going to have that championship at the end of the night is up in the air at that point in time. And heck, they may even put keep the championship on Damian Priest, and he's going to be facing Gunther at SummerSlam. Or it could be Seth Rollins facing Gunther at SummerSlam. Or it could be Drew McIntyre. Either way, it could be a lot of people potentially going up against Gunther at SummerSlam itself. So that is all the matches for WWE Money in the Bank. If you did like everything here, again, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel if you so wish. Also, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section with your own predictions for the pay-per-view itself, or not necessarily pay-per-view, but the PLE. And with that being said, I hope you all take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great rest of your day.